Rocha told the court he gave the information to drug smugglers about the location of law enforcement vessels to ensure they would not be intercepted. So Rocha, who was on the defense force, was protecting drug dealers who were bringing drugs into the country or trafficking drugs to the U.S. And so he is now admitted. Now, if Rocha admits, imagine the other rest to have to admit too. So Rocha then start this. Rocha is the one getting the ball rolling in essence. Rocha is the one creating this situation. Rocha is the one causing the things to happen. Anybody else who was involved now needs to be concerned with anybody else who was involved now needs to be concerned with Rocha about what Rocha has done. And they too need to plead guilty. They too need to clear themselves. They know that they have done some things that they ought not to have done. They know, somebody say Darren singing. They know that they did what they did. You know who should be concerned? Whoever that government minister is who was involved in this whole scheme of things. Because obviously, if Rocha say he was on the lower edge, he was in with the big fellas. But the big fellas ain't gotta call names. Rocha is Rocha saying he's a small fry, and so maybe he is a small fry. But Rocha have to call names. It is what it is. And whether we like it or like it not, we kind of being embarrassed once this whole thing really comes to head. Well, we have already been embarrassed. We were embarrassed by the indictment. Our country was dragged practically over this whole thing where law enforcement was guiding drug dealers in another country, guiding them, helping them to go along, helping them to traffic the drugs straight to the U.S. But it is what it is. The person says the plea was clearly in Rocha's best interest. That's his lawyer in the U.S. Okay? Now, Rocha he admitted to accepting $20,000 in November as an upfront payment for providing information to drug traffickers. Okay? And so now he's taking responsibility for his actions. It says, prosecutors claim that in exchange for cocaine-fueled bribes for drug traffickers, not only Rocha, but Rocha was one example of Rocha was one example of what prosecutors called drug fuel corruption that has made the Bahamas an increasingly important point of entry for narcotics traffickers heading for the U.S. Among the other defendants is Elvis Nathaniel Curtis, 51, and RBPF chief superintendent, who oversaw aviation operations for the force, including at airports like the Linden International Airport. Prosecutors claim that in exchange for cocaine-fueled bribes from drug traffickers, Curtis abused his position to facilitate the transportation of narcotics and drug trafficking proceeds. Prince Albert Simonet, 52, a former Royal Bahamas Police Force sergeant, is accused of having closely worked with Curtis as a part of the scheme. Both Curtis and Simonet are accused of taking a $10,000 cash bribe in 2023 as down payment for helping get a future 600-kilogram cocaine shipment through Nassau Airport to the U.S.